Point Loma has played a big role in San Diego's history. For decades, the Naval Training Center in Point Loma drew men and women from around the country to San Diego to train for military service. Today, Point Loma still draws families to the same area, but not for military service. Now called NTC at Liberty Station, this former naval base has become a blossoming arts and culture district. Liberty Station is home to great art galleries, restaurants, performing arts companies, and much more, making it a destination the whole family will love. So bring the kids and join me to discover what makes Point Loma one of San Diego's best arts and culture districts. With 28 acres of renovated Spanish Revival architecture, NTC at Liberty Station is the perfect place to learn about Point Loma's history, which you can discover at the Point Loma Legacy exhibit. The exhibit tells the story of Point Loma's role as a gateway to San Diego. In the historic barracks, you'll find an exhibit displaying the story of life as a naval training recruit.
Well, you can certainly, as you walk around, you'll see that history permeates here. All of our buildings in the historic district were inspired by Bertram Goodhue, who did the buildings in Balboa Park. But it's what's going on inside the buildings that really is enjoyable. You've got artists in barracks buildings where sailors used to sleep. You now have artists making art.
From painting and photography to the art of textiles, there's something for just about every kind of art lover, young and old.
In one of the command school buildings, you've got the dance company. And the way our architects designed the buildings or repurposed the buildings is you can actually see the rehearsals going on while the dancers are working inside the studio.
Several dance companies, including Malashop Dance, rehearse and offer classes here. Drop in for a class, or to find out when and where their companies will be performing next. At NTC at Liberty Station, you can also explore one of San Diego's most popular crafts, craft beer. Let's meet with Steve Robbins to learn more about Stone Brewing Company's World Bistro and Garden at Liberty Station. So, Steve, this place is amazing. It's not just a restaurant, it's not just a brewery, there's tons of stuff going on here. What all will people find when they come to Stone's World Bistro and Garden here?
I prefer to answer the question, what won't they find here? This being the largest under-roof restaurant in all of San Diego County, people have a certain expectation when they walk in the door, and the things that we have here are great for parents, they're great for families, they're great for everybody, from our movie nights that we have on Tuesday nights where you go out there and enjoy a great movie out there on the movie pad, beers for the parents, beautiful, beautiful ground for people to walk around on, and if you want to be playful, we've got the bocce ball court set up so you can play around as well.
After dinner, don't leave NTC at Liberty Station without a little shopping first. Take home some edible art from She Chocolat. Their hand-molded chocolate creations use only the best ingredients and are a delight to see and taste. For fantastic home decor, check out Scout, an eclectic shop full of artful furniture and accessories. From innovative dance and history lessons to artisanal beer and chocolate, there's something for everyone at NTC at Liberty Station. For more ideas on how to spend your day at Point Loma, visit sandiego.org, and I'll see you soon in San Diego.
Hey, welcome to the show. Yep, I thought I might look like this. Yeah, I'm running a little bit. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at that mess. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time today. I came home and actually kind of crashed out on my couch, and I woke up about 10 minutes ago. So this is what you get on 10 minutes notice. It was much more of an advertisement video. I was hoping to get a little history of San Diego because a fair amount of us who are watching this show have spent some time in San Diego. I did myself, and I consider it pretty kind of a cool part of my life. So we're look at that mess. What are we going to do from here? I just put on a pot of coffee, so I might have to get up here in a minute to go pour me a cup, just so I'll have a little more. My thoughts will be a little more cogent, I hope. Nothing planned, nothing on the agenda. It's Friday. I'm surprised to see anybody here, but welcome. Welcome to the show. Randy, hello, Randy. I'm going to go ahead and put the link, and we'll get this, we'll have to get this party started somehow. And I think when I don't know. I think we're all starting to figure out the long delays between me talking and you seeing it when you type something in, the delay before I see it. So we'll try to keep that in mind. I kind of like last night was a little different. I don't know how many tuned in for the Jennifer and Susie show, but I thought parts went really well. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'll have to go through my wake up routine right here. I think Dennis and Susie and Khaki are here. I don't know. I see Randy saying hi to him. So hello, everybody. I'm wondering if somebody recognizes my background. A few people should. I thought so too, sis. I thought it was interesting, especially for the first show. Once you do something like that the first time, you kind of go back and you can think about it, about like what might have been different or how could you have done a little better. I don't do that, but I think most people would. And oh yeah, I just woke up from a nap, and this is what you get. I did get up early this morning and made my trip down to Garberville, uneventful, which was good. A lot, there was, someone asked me what was the traffic like, and it was like any other day. We never have heavy traffic up here, never. But, there are cars on the road. And, hey, Susie. And it was just pretty much normal. Kind of weird. So I dropped a link. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm a little bit groggy. I didn't quite get enough in. I only got like 40. I only got like 27 winks. I didn't get all 40 in. So Susie, good show last night. I think the biscuits, making the biscuits with the camera angle, the bowl, actually brought back memories for me. I remember watching Grandma's hands do very much similar to what you were doing. Although I never paid attention, but that was awesome. I hope you'll think about doing something like that again, because I'm sure there's a lot more recipes out there that you can share. So that's about all I got to say. Topic? No, you did really well. You did really well, Susie. Hey, Henry Miller, glad to see you up here. Actually, Henry, I want to invite you up. I want to invite you up and learn some things about Robert Kumpel, because I know very little about you, sir. And yeah, come on up and we'll chat. Hey, Kurt, good to see you. Let me drop the link again. I'm looking for any ideas, any topics you want to talk about. Because about 10 minutes ago, I was dreaming. Now look at me. It's not that pretty. So I dropped the link. Got a wrinkly shirt on. My hair's a little wrinkly. I need a haircut. I'm thinking about just doing it myself. I'm thinking about doing the old-fashioned put on the clippers with like the little spacer between it. And just I don't know. He grows back. I hope it does. So, I actually popped up to a bunch of viewers real quick. I don't know what that means. I'm so responsible. But thank you, I guess. Oh, Robert, topic. Why did you quit teaching? Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll tell you. 2010. Well, when I got my house, Yeah, Don, that would be a great thing. I'll go ahead and answer that question, Robert. But again, I'd like you to come up. I'd like to ask you about your early days. But to, I don't think too much of this is a secret. I've always been fascinated by the cannabis plant since I was probably 18 or 19. Had some family members who were early pioneers in the cultivation of it, and let's go ahead and say it. So once I got my house, I never really grew anything until I got my house. And once I got my house, okay, I'll put you up here with me. It'll be easier to talk to somebody. Once I got my house, I started messing around trying to grow a little bit of cannabis myself. And it was while I was teaching, so it was kind of it was after the 1997 Prop 215 thing. So basically, it was legal. I had patients, that kind of thing. And anyways, there was a big contest from High Times Magazine in 2010, and I wanted to meet a breeder grower who shared a lot of his information on the internet, who kind of taught me how to grow at a higher level. So, anyways, I entered the contest and I won. And then when it was actually it was the very last day of school that the contest occurred. It was down in San Francisco. I won, and I knew when I stood up to take the award that there would be my teaching career would probably be changed, to say the least. So what I did is I came home that summer. I talked to a couple friends of mine that I'm close to, teachers, and I asked their advice, and I decided to ask for a year off, a sabbatical kind of thing. And they granted me that summer, and there was no. I just kind of wanted to see what was going to happen. So turns out there's this thing called YouTube, and those videos are public, and somehow one of my students found the video of me getting up and accepting that award. So so I got a letter from the district that said, hey, we have an issue here, which I completely understood. So I didn't go through the union route because I really didn't do anything illegal, but I understood I'm in a different position. So I just told them, I said, if you let me keep my teaching credential, I'll just resign. And that's what I did. Is that a good answer?
Right.
So growing cannabis basically, but it wasn't illegal. But I understood, like, if you were a female teacher and say you were a stripper, it would be distracting to the students, to say the least. And
well, that's one thing I think neither of us ever had to worry about.
No, I'm glad you came on, because I don't know. This is the only thing I think I know about you, and correct me if I'm wrong. You were born in San Diego. You grew up in San Diego. And the only thing I think I really know is I think your father owned a furniture store.
I lived in San Diego for 45 years.
And did your dad own a furniture store?
Yes, he did.
Kind of a big one on El Cajon Boulevard, or where was it?
It was called Allen Kent Furniture. And at one point, it was fairly well known. The big furniture store in San Diego to this day remains a place called Jerome's Furniture. And next to the San Diego Zoo, Jerome Navarro is probably the biggest single advertiser in San Diego. He just spends a fortune advertising there. And the irony of it is that the man who was his advertising agent was fired by him and became my dad's advertising agent. And my dad's business and his business went in two different directions. My dad's business kind of had its ups and downs, and Jerome just kept skyrocketing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Is your dad's business still around?
No. My dad, oh my gosh, my dad went through a bankruptcy in 1982. He came back from it and reopened later that year. And then he moved to Carson City, Nevada in the late 1980s or early 90s. And he lasted about 1 year up there and then came back to San Diego. And then he and my mother opened up a little place in La Mesa, another little furniture store, and they ended up closing that. And finally, he tried to open up a furniture store for my brother in Santee, and my brother had a bunch of health problems, and he wasn't there to take care of it. So my dad sold the store to somebody else, and about 6 or 7 months after that, he died.
Were you ever interested in the business? Did you hang out at the business, do any work in the store?
I practically lived at the business. When I was 13 years old, my dad put me to work. First, he had me just dusting off furniture in the store. Then he stuck me in the warehouse. I spent a couple months one summer just doing nothing but putting hardware on dressers and things like that. And then the next year I was doing deliveries. I delivered furniture for close to 15 years. I worked my way through college doing that. And then he put me on the sales floor. I was a terrible, terrible furniture salesman. I had no skill for it at all. But I did a little bit of everything.
Okay, what part of I know San Diego covers a wide area. Where did you what little townships or did you grow up in, or more than one? Or
I spent up until I moved out. I lived in a part of San Diego called Kensington, which was there's two really old neighborhoods in San Diego. The oldest is Mission Hills, and the second oldest is Kensington, and that's where I grew up. And I got along with my parents after I graduated from college. I took the easy way. I stayed at home so I wouldn't have to pay for rent or anything like that. And I got along with my parents. They didn't ask me a lot of questions. They let me come and go as I pleased. I didn't move out of the house till I was 25 years old. I thought, why would I go out and pay rent? This is crazy. I get along with them. But at that point, my parents wanted to move into a retirement community, which was a mobile home park in Santee. And I thought, okay, this is a sign from above. I'm supposed to move on. So I moved out and went my separate ways at that point.
what schools did you go to when you grew up?
Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, St. Augustine High School in North Park, and then I went to Mesa College for 1 year. I couldn't get any classes there that I wanted, so I thought, okay, I got to do the real thing, or I'm never going to get anywhere. So I applied to San Diego State. They accepted me, and I graduated from state in about another 4 years. So
Okay.
same place you went.
And you were an English major?
No, I was a journalism major.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I studied advertising, news writing, public relations, things like that. And I thought I was going to light the world on fire by getting into advertising and everything. And I was an absolute fool, babe in the woods. I had no idea how incredibly competitive advertising was when I got out. Every attempt I made to get a job was met with just roadblocks. And so I kept working for my dad. And then finally, after 10 years of working at a job I didn't like, one of the guys I was working with was working on his teaching certificate. And I thought, well, wait, I could do that. And so I decided to go back, and I had to take about a year's worth of English classes. And then I had to go through the 1-year teaching program. But after that, I started working as a teacher.
Did you do that at San Diego State?
Yeah.
Did you ever make any money being a journalist?
Yes, actually, it served me quite well at one point, but it wasn't quite the way I ever expected it to work out. I don't know how to put this, but when I got married, my wife and I tried living an unconventional lifestyle. I kept working as a teacher. She was in medical school, getting ready to become a physician and do her residency, and she did all that through UCSD. And anyway, we made an agreement before we got married that we wanted our kids not to be raised in daycare centers, but to be raised by parents. So one of us would be a stay-at-home parent. It made more sense for me to do it, since she'd make more as a doctor. Now that sounds real good on paper, but I think in the natural order of things, it doesn't work out quite so well. I think after a few years, my wife began to resent the fact that I was at home and she was out working. But that's what we initially did. And after our first child was born, I spent 1 more year teaching, but I had a very good friend that lived in San Marcos, and I was teaching in Temecula. So I would drop Amelia off during the day with this friend, and my friend, she had a daughter who was Amelia's age, so they'd play together, and then I'd pick her up on the way home. And at the end of the year, my wife said, she said, if you can get a part-time job, she says, I think this is the time to quit because you can stay at home with her. And that's exactly what I did. I quit, and I began, well, when Amelia was about 2 or 3, I began taking the steps to homeschool her. But I needed to bring in some income, and I always had read this alternative paper called the San Diego Reader, and the publisher of the paper was a fellow named Jim Holman, still is. And I lived in, at that time, I was living in San Diego, almost right by Little Italy. I was living in this little area called Middletown, which kind of overlooks the airport. And I approached Jim Holman and I told him that I'd like to write for him. And I really didn't have a lot of experience with news writing. I was kind of trained in advertising, but I didn't forget what I'd learned about it either. And he also had a sort of an alternative Catholic paper at the time. This is when the scandals were starting to break out, and he was essentially publishing papers that would embarrass the diocese, publishing stories that were somewhat embarrassing to the Diocese of San Diego. We were exposing a lot of the stuff that they were trying to keep quiet. And I told him I wanted to work for him and help out with that. So he gave me a try, and before I knew it, he was throwing stories at me left and right. And that's probably the one job I enjoyed more than anything else in my life. But it was also very, very emotionally draining. I learned about some things that I wished I'd never learned about. I sat and listened to parents and victims, etc., that had just heartbreaking, terrible stories to share about what they and their children had been through, etc. And anyway, I was doing this from about 1999 till about 2004, and then in 2004, my wife had finished her residency, and we agreed in advance of our marriage again that we'd probably have to leave San Diego at some point, which really broke my heart. I loved San Diego, and but she had a sister who was living here in Georgia. Her sister was married to some guy in the Air Force who was stationed here. We came out and visited, and the price of housing was just incredibly cheap. And we found this antique house. It was 100 years old, and it was about 4,000 square feet, and they wanted $150,000 for it. And at that point, we had two daughters, and we said, let's go for it. We'll see what happens. And we moved out here, and then that's how I got stuck here. And I tried still writing the stories by long distance, doing phone calls and stuff like that, but the stories began to dwindle, and after a while, they just weren't there anymore. So I'm not doing it.
Okay, well, we got a question for you from the gallery over there. So maybe you're officially on because you're kind of mysterious. You're a mysterious kind of guy, and I'd like to hear more about you. How'd you meet your wife?
I met her at the Newman Center at San Diego State University. For those who don't know what a Newman Center is, it's sort of a place at secular universities where Catholic students can hang out. They can go to daily mass or mass on Sunday or whatever. And it's kind of funny because she hung out there because a friend of hers did. She wasn't even Catholic at the time. And anyway, when we first met each other, we couldn't stand each other. Anyway, over the course of the next couple of years, I got to know her better. She got to know me better. And we found that we had a lot in common, and we became very close friends. And we knew each other for about 6 years before we got married. And about a couple of years before we got married, she was hinting around about getting married, and I said I'd never marry anybody who wasn't Catholic. And so she got into an RCIA program at a parish to become a Catholic, and the program was so awful that she didn't think she could take it. So I went and talked to the priest, and I said, "Can you give her a test and let her test out, because this is a joke." And anyway, he met with her and asked her a bunch of questions and agreed to confirm her in the church, and that he did. So, and then a couple of years later, we were married. And a couple of years after that, we had our first child. And
You're an Apple guy.
I can't believe it. I'm receiving a phone call from San Diego. It's probably my cousin. I have a cousin in San Diego who I speak to every other day or so. And anyway, I just declined the call. So.
Okay, you know what? That's interesting because you're talking, because I didn't know what the process would be if because I was born into the Catholic faith, I guess you would say, by my parents, and I'm assuming your parents were also Catholics for you to be. So yeah, if you're not born into it and baptized, I guess I never even thought about what the process might be to become a Catholic. So there's some hoops to jump through.
Well, if you were baptized, you're a Catholic, but to get married in the Catholic Church, you either have to have another Protestant minister present or something for the Protestant person, or else both of you become Catholic. And but you've already been baptized Catholic, so you're a Catholic. I don't know if you've been confirmed or not, but I don't think you can get married until you've been confirmed. But I mean, that's basically something most people have to take up with their local parish priest. But right now, nobody can take up anything because all the parishes are closed.
Interesting. Yeah, actually, I remember confirmation. I remember it's kind of a cool thing. Me and my cousin I think it was you can it wouldn't have been a cardinal, a bishop from Alaska came down and oversaw the procedure, and me and my cousin Damien, he asked 2 questions and we got it right, and then he sent us a gift in the mail when we made the local paper.
Was this in San Bernardino?
This was in Fontana. I went to St. Joseph. Actually, a lot of us went to St. Joseph's Academy, it was called.
I don't know, because San Bernardino might have been part of the Diocese of San Diego at that time. I don't know if it still was or not. I know the first bishop there was a guy named Strayling, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I remember this guy came from Alaska. I'm pretty sure, but that was all foggy. So yeah, I didn't know what that's interesting. I never really knew what the credentials were to be a Catholic. You've
met him. Now, whether you're a practicing Catholic or not, that's another story altogether. But that's essentially it. So.
I'm there. I guess I'm in there. So interesting. Well, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the mysterious Robert Kumpel?
Let's add boring.
Jennifer said Cardinal Mahoney confirmed her.
You have my heartfelt sympathy.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. So, what else should we know about Mr. Kumpel? What's some good information to you want to share with us?
Well, watching that thing about Point Loma really touched me. I remember when I realized that I really was going to be leaving San Diego. It was about 3 days before we left, and some friends had a growing away party for us, and we went to that, and I went back to our apartment, which was almost empty. We just had a few boxes around and a couple of beds, and I sat on the floor, and I couldn't control myself. I just started weeping. I was just crying. I was very, very attached to San Diego, and I used to jokingly call myself Mr. San Diego, which is a really arrogant thing to say, but I felt like I knew San Diego like the back of my hand. I delivered furniture there for 15 years, all over the county, and I could find just about any address without even going into the Thomas Brothers map book. I knew where almost everything was.
One of my favorite parts I lived in, I'm sure you've been in that neighborhood where I lived in North Park, where it was just a few blocks from where I think it was PSA or Western Air, one of those airlines where it crashed into the.
Oh yeah, on Nile Street. That's right by where my high school was.
Yeah, actually, that's where I lived for when I was going to college down there. Very good memories from that area, but I like North Park.
Yeah, North Park is one of those neighborhoods that's become gentrified. In the 1970s and early 1980s, it was considered sort of a throwaway neighborhood on its way down, and then with the gentrification and yuppification of San Diego, all these people came in and began investing in the old houses and fixing them up, and the price of real estate just kept going up. And now, let's see, my wife's grandmother died a couple of years ago, and she had a house in North Park, and it was just a little 2-bedroom bungalow, probably not even 2,000 square feet, maybe less than that. And I think when they sold it, they got over $800,000 for it. It probably cost even more than that now.
Wow. Yeah, I know real estate's pricey. Another question is, how is it being a single father?
Kind of depressing, really. I don't want to go into a lot of dramatic details, especially since my girls are here and they might hear me. But in 2013, my wife informed me that she was moving out, and at first she wanted everything to just be friendly and that sort of thing. And I think she thought I was just going to sign my kids away and walk off into the sunset. And I had no intention of doing that at all. And when she found out that I hired an attorney to fight back, her entire tone changed and it became very, very nasty. And I've tried to be as polite and as charitable as I possibly can under the circumstances, but this has taken a horrible toll on my children, and I think divorce should be an absolute last resort for any marriage. Not because of what it's done to me, but for what it does to kids and the way I've seen my kids suffer through this. And I have split custody now with my kids. I had full custody of them until the final divorce settlement, then the judge split it week to week. And I wouldn't trade my kids for anything in the world, but it's I just try to do the best I can.
Awesome. Yeah, life doesn't always get painted the way we want it to get painted, does it?
No.
Okay, that's all very, very good. You're showing a little vulnerability there, sir. That's noted, and thank you.
About as vulnerable as it gets. So,
yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody else more interesting can come on here because I'm. You've probably got all the dirt you need about me.
No, I don't think it's dirt. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about you. Did you go to Padre games or Chargers games? Were you a sports fan?
Yes and no. My dad had Padres season tickets when I was a kid, Chargers season tickets, and Aztec football season tickets. And I can remember going to all of those. And sometime in the early 1970s, I don't remember a whole lot about it, but the Chargers just started to go down the toilet, and you couldn't give away tickets to Charger games. Now, this is before Dan Fouts, before Don Coryell, before all of that. Their head coach was a guy named Harlan Savari. And I can remember going to a game. I'll never forget this because they walked in at halftime and somebody was standing over where the players and the coaches walked in, and somebody dumped a jumbo beer right on top of Harlan Savari's head as he was walking into the locker room. And there were all sorts of things about that I remember. But after that, my dad quit. He gave up his subscription to the Charger games, and we just went to the Aztec games, which was way better anyway. But I don't know. After they started winning again with Dan Fouts, I became something of a Chargers fan for a while. And I know what I'm going to say is just probably going to offend the heck out of some people, but I started becoming so fanatical about pro football and reading about it. I began to read what a lot of these players were saying, and I just felt like a lot of the players take the fans for granted. And those people are millionaires for playing a game. It's a very dangerous game. It's a game where they can be injured for the rest of their lives, maybe. But nonetheless, they're getting paid multi-million-dollar salaries for playing a game. And I began to see what the way the salaries were just going out of control and everything. And I thought, you know what? Half these guys treat us with complete contempt, and they're making this kind of money. Somebody else can pay their salaries. I want no part of this. And I completely dropped out of paying any attention to it. I've been NFL free now since probably about 1988 or 89. And I despise professional sports. I don't hold it against them to get as much money as they can for playing their sport. It's just, I'm not going to be a part of it. I think it's ridiculous. It's like a cult, and I just don't want to be part of it.
Actually, I think I'm probably pretty similar thoughts about that myself. What about what kind of music did you listen to? I think I saw a comment where you talked about losing your hearing at a Led Zeppelin concert.
Yeah, I was a typical child of the 70s, teenager of the 70s, so to speak. And I listened to a lot of hard rock, especially Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and I always liked the Beatles and things like that. But I went to several rock concerts that were just so ridiculously loud. And after doing that a few times, one thing I did notice is I bought some earplugs. And if you go to the concert and listen with your ears open, a lot of times the music was so loud it would completely distort. So I began to put the earplugs in. And if you put the earplugs in, the music would be louder than if your stereo was turned up full blast, but it didn't distort. So I think I protected my hearing a little bit by doing that, but it was too little too late. I see this question about the coronavirus.
Yeah, how are you dealing with the coronavirus there? You saw that?
It's pretty small time here compared to New York or California or someplace like that. I think in the county I live in, there have been something like 190 confirmed cases. But of those, how many are serious remains to be seen. I'll be honest with you, part of me wishes I could just catch the darn thing and get it over with. I mean, for all I know, I may be carrying it. I don't know. But the vast majority of people that get it don't get it. Don't get a serious case of it. Many people are asymptomatic. Now, that said, I don't take it for granted that it wouldn't hurt me. It could be deadly for me for all that I know. But I'm just looking at the numbers. The majority of people that get it don't get so ill that they have to go to the hospital. And I don't know. I guess I'd be willing to risk the odds on that. I just think I feel like everybody's going to get it, so we might as well get it over with.
I'm looking forward to having the antibodies one way or the other. And actually, what surprised me was that I think 3 people have chimed in on this, and I was an outlier. But I'm willing to take the vaccine, and I'm curious if they come out with a vaccine. Is that something you would you consider taking instead of having?
You mean submit to testing for the new vaccine?
Not well. If it comes out and it's however whatever they say. Okay, we have an approved vaccine. And let's say you don't have the antibodies, would you consider taking that?
Under certain conditions, I would, yes.
Okay, fair enough. I was actually kind of surprised because I guess I'm a little too trusting in science, I guess, because I want the antibodies in me in somehow or another. And even though, there's just not enough information yet.
Well, one of the things I've learned being married to a doctor, there's a lot I wished I hadn't learned, but it's almost uncannily horrifying all the things that can go wrong with the human body. But it's very convenient to demonize drug companies for taking so long and charging so much money for some of their drugs and things like that. And I can certainly understand why it's frustrating for people. But one thing I was not aware of until a few years ago, to put any new drug on the market, they have to invest a minimum of at least $1 billion just to go through all the testing and development and everything else before they can get FDA approval to put a new drug on the market. And as long as we have all these hoops to jump through, and maybe we need these hoops to jump through. I mean, you have to protect the interest of the public, but it's not a cheap venture to put new drugs on the market.
No, I think probably we're way too a litigious society, but my question would be well, why do they sell it for? I'm gonna just throw a number, 1/10 of the price in Canada, or the same drugs made by the same company, but they charge a lot less in other countries. That one. That
is a good question. My initial guess is maybe I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, baffles me.
My initial guess is they have to recover their costs somewhere. I guess they figured that Americans are stupid enough to pay the higher prices, so they hit us with it. I don't know. I really have no idea.
I also heard some crazy statistic. Maybe someone will correct me quickly on this, and because I'm just going to statistics always, it's how you present them. But we have 4% of the population, but I think we consume somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 or 80% of the prescription drugs made on the planet. We're kind of a pilled up society. Maybe that's why we get charged so much.
That could be. I have to take I don't take it when I'm not working, but when I'm working, I take a prescription drug. I suffer from, in fact, this would be interesting because there are other Shaws watching this. I don't know if this is in the Shaw family line or what, or if I got it from elsewhere, but I have narcolepsy. And for me, what that means is several times throughout the day, I get drowsy very easily, and I can nod off and go into deep REM sleep and start dreaming like that. And I take a drug called Provigil, but I only take it when I'm working. When I'm not working, I don't take the drug. And other than that, I don't take any prescription drugs at all.
Interesting. Do you sleep well at night?
Oh, yeah. I have no trouble sleeping at night.
No, I think that's a blessing. I'm the same way. I can sleep 10 hours a night, and I kind of need that. And I think I'm comparing notes. I think that's a good thing. But cool, very good. Actually, wonderful. Thank you for coming up. Is there any other questions out in the peanut gallery for my half brother Robert?
Are there any other peanuts out in the gallery that want to come on?
Yeah, that's another question. Let me drop the link. And maybe someone will want to come on. Appreciate you come on. Yeah, because you've been kind of voyeuring. You've been kind of a voyeur.
Well, I've been a voyeur my whole life.
Yeah.
You can take that any way you want.
I'm on both ends of that spectrum. I do them both, but I won't stand up. That's all I'll say is I'm not going to stand up right now. Yeah, I've never heard of narcolepsy in our family. So you're the first. Maybe that might have come from the other side.
Yeah, I suspect it probably might have. And my links to that side are even thinner than with the Shaw group. So I may never find out anything about that. But,
so are you So I remember you recently you talked about your half sister, and there could be possible more. Are you still pursuing your?
I actually got a letter back from this fellow who is my cousin, and he doesn't live that far from you. He's a dentist in Arcata, California.
I went past there today.
I'm sorry?
I drove through Arcata today, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And he sent me a transcript of a book that somebody's writing about that part of the family, and it had a little bit in there about my natural father, and what little it had about him painted him as something of a congenital liar and con man right from the beginning. So, but there were a few photos in there. I probably saw the clearest photo of my father that I've ever seen. There was a picture. It was probably a high school yearbook picture taken in 1943, and I could see some resemblance to myself, but I could also see how I look completely different too. So, but hello, Kurt.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Very well.
So Robert and I have a little bit in common. We've both grown up in San Diego.
Yes, you live right by Mary's Donuts, which used to be Zonas.
I used to live in Santee. I live in La Mesa right now.
I thought you still live in Santee. Okay.
Yeah, no, that Zona's Donuts I remember from a childhood. Zona's Donuts always provided the donuts at Angels Church.
But when it became Mary's Donuts, they finally washed the windows.
The guy that started Zona's Donuts was a farmer, and my dad used to always crack up. He'd come in from the field and make donuts without even washing his hands.
Oh.
So Mary's Donuts isn't there anymore.
Oh.
There's actually 2 locations of Mary's Donuts now. Mary's Donuts kind of famous in San Diego, but there's one in Lakeside, and the one in Santee moved to Carlton Hills Square, which is right on the corner of
I know where that
Carlton Hills Boulevard and Mission Gorge, right? So, no, what I wanted to ask you, Robert, you asked me about fishing before. I was wondering if you ever fished when you were in San Diego. If you ever
when I was in high school, my best friend loved to fish, and he would take me to Lake Murray once in a while. He lived not too far from Lake Murray, and that's before they shut it down.
We're in walking distance of Lake Murray. We walk our dogs there almost every day.
They shut Lake Murray down for a number of years because of something called the hydrilla plant or something like that. But, But after I got to college, he began to get into deep sea fishing, and the day before my graduation, he had this little 16-foot wooden skiff, and he said, "Come on, let's go." And I said, "All right." I couldn't even swim, which was absolutely insane. And we got in that skiff, and we went out to the Coronado Islands. And I remember the only bait we used were these chrome jigs, and there were all these half-day boats that were out there fishing around us, and they weren't catching anything. And every time we drop our lines, we'd catch fish. And I thought, wow, if it's like this, I ought to do this more often. And I caught several fish that day, and some fairly large ones, and that's been about it. The other thing I remember about that is when I went home that night, I felt like the whole room was just. I've been out there all day, and I laid down in my bed, and I felt like the bed was just floating on the water. I couldn't get it out of my brain.
That always gets to me when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
enclosed. You know, you feel like you're wobbling around in there. You know, that can happen. That can have a seasickness that happened to my wife. We spent a couple of days on Catalina, Catalina Harbor on a boat, and there's constant motion. You know, in the harbor, there's constant motion. And when we finally did get on dry land, she was in a little shop in Avalon, and she thought she was going to get sick just from not moving. So a little opposite effect there can happen.
Well, did you grow up in Santee?
Yeah, we moved in Santee in 1959, so I went
Oh my!
all through grade school at the same school and all through high school at the same school.
Because my earliest memories of Santee were driving out there, and the only thing out there was KCBQ radio and a Jack in the Box.
Yeah, right. When we were growing up, there wasn't even a signal light right there. That was, you know, KCBQ was right on Mission Gorge, and Jack in the Box was right across the street from it.
Yeah.
But there was no signal lights, and Mission Gorge was actually a beautiful street, a little 2-lane highway with eucalyptus growing all the way down, both sides, and it was really a pretty little street at the time. But in the early days, before we used to have to drive Mission Gorge Road through by Mission Dam, you know, through the canyon. Yeah, we'd have relatives come, you know, down from San Bernardino and make that drive, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. They felt like they were at, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, because that's all there was. You know, Santee was a little town.
We used to drive through Santee. My dad liked to eat at this place in El Cajon called Pinnacle Peak, and Pinnacle Peak was out in this old adobe building out in El Cajon, and then they moved it to Santee a few years later. But that's the reason we'd always drive through Santee, is I think it was on Magnolia, or whatever. We'd go over to Magnolia and go to Pinnacle Peak.
Yeah, it was on Magnolia, and then they moved into Santee on Mission, kind of the west end of Santee, and then they ended up in Lakeside, and it just was downhill. They tried it for a couple of years. Linda, my wife, and I ate there, and it was just horrible, and it wasn't the same. You know. I don't know if the original owners had passed on and they tried to sell the business or pass it on to their kids, but
now
it just wasn't.
You mentioned the old Mission Dam. Did you ever try climbing those mountains around the dam down there?
Yeah, we hang out there quite a bit. Yeah.
Because on one side you've got Fortuna Mountain, and then there's the other one that just kind of goes straight up and is flat on the top.
Yeah, no, I can't say I ever went out there and rock climbed or anything, but we certainly went out there, you know, climbed hills and stuff when we were kids. Our playground when I was growing up was we called it the Sand Pits, and it's the San Diego River, and an area called Sycamore Canyon, and we called that Sleepy Hollow. And Sycamore Canyon was, you know where the Santee Lakes are?
Yeah.
So if you continued up that canyon past the Santee Lakes heading north, going towards Poway, there was a huge canyon out there called Sycamore Canyon. We actually had, you know, Boy Scout jam out there. They've had motocross races out there in the 60s, early 70s, and that's where I spent most of my time. You know, a couple of my guys and me would ride our little Yamaha 80s out there and just camp out, just run wild, burn things down, you know, kill things. Take shotguns out.
Do you live in La Mesa? Do you live on one of those streets that's named Lake something?
No.
Okay, because there's all that whole area surrounding Cowles Mountain and everything out there. Every other street is named Lake something or other.
I live right off of Lake Murray, so if you get off of Lake Murray on 8 heading, I guess it would be kind of a north direction.
Mm-hmm.
There's one street, I forgot the name of the street, that goes right to Murray, and then there's another street called Maryland. Mm-hmm. And then the next street is called Lisa Road, and that's where I live. So we're about a half a mile.
I got a pretty good idea. The odd thing is I haven't been to San Diego since 2013, but every time I've gone back, it's a strange feeling because I immediately know where everything is. I know how to get everywhere, and yet I haven't been in this place. And buildings are different, and some things are different, yet it's still the same at the same time. And it's eerie to go through that experience.
I know what you mean about knowing where everything is. You know, I grew up my job has always been going here, going there, delivering cabinets there, putting in countertops there. So I've been all around, and I've talked about moving to Arizona the next couple of years. I'm just going to really miss just knowing how to get someplace and what's the fastest route and what's traffic like. I just know the town.
Now, what part of Arizona are you contemplating a move to?
We're looking at Havasu City, actually.
Okay, is that anywhere near Flagstaff?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not really. Flagstaff's up in the mountains. Havasu's on the Colorado River, so it's in the valley. Yeah, it's
So you can still have the same bad tasting drinking water there that you have in San Diego.
you got to have a filter system. That water is so hard, alkaline or what? It's not too good. Yeah.
Yep.
Love that dirty water.
I don't drink water out of the tap in San Diego.
It doesn't get any worse than San Diego, believe me.
San Diego
It's
had
pretty
some
bad.
great water. When we went down there, it was hard to drink.
Right. Even San water. The water is just different in San Bernardino than it is in San Diego. It's that Colorado River water.
Yeah, it definitely had its own little flavor. I couldn't drink it. Even San Bernardino actually had some very good water.
Yeah.
We grew up on. And I remember your dad, Kurt. Your dad used to, when you go to Cherry Valley, if I remember this memory, you'd take a big glass of water the first thing when he came in the house, just gulp it down because it was hard to drink San Diego water.
Well, my dad grew up in San Bernardino, so he probably just kind of reminiscing, how good the water is there. But there's a story of my dad and Jack Lanfear, who was my godfather and his best man at his wedding, I believe. Him and Jack, my dad and Jack, getting lost on San Gorgonio Mountain. So pretty good story. I don't know much about it, but they spent the night on San Gorgonio, huddled up next to each other. Didn't even have a sleeping bag.
Did your dad grow up in Highland, Kurt?
I don't know what part of town San Bernardino my dad grew up in. I don't. I know that Isabel, my grandma Isabel, and my Claire, Harley's wife, went to the same church, and that's how my mom and dad met, because two Shaw ladies, and they got to talking, and that's how they met.
Gentlemen, I don't mean to be rude, but I got to bail out. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, I'm glad you
Thanks,
came up
Robert.
and
Thanks
answered.
for having me.
Take care, buddy. Well, good. I had to go get a cup of Joe because it might be a long evening. You asked if this is Politics Friday. Well, I'll do that at 8 o'clock. The adult.
Okay. All right.
So
All
if
right.
anyone, I'll come on. If someone comes on, that's fine. If not, that's also just fine. I'm tired of talking myself. I'm tired of hearing my stupid opinions. So
Yeah.
hoping we get some new blood. Actually, who I'd like to have come up. David told me his son, Brandon, is he said, he goes, "It's the first time I talked with someone where I was intimidated." So that got me really curious about talking politics with Brandon. So if Brandon or David's listening, I would love to get his point of view. I'd like to get some new blood on the show, and maybe we can talk about anything. But
Well,
I might even cuss on that one a little bit. I don't know.
I thought today was kind of interesting that we're on the COVID-19 front. We're starting to see some real statistics about, they're doing a lot more testing now than before, and we're really starting to see some, not just models, actually statistics on how many people have it and how many people are dying from it. And, a lot more people, I guess, from what I understand, have it than they thought originally, but are not dying from it.
No, I think we've kind of, I think that information started coming out from the aircraft carrier numbers where a lot of them had it, but showed no symptoms. One thing that doesn't get talked about a whole lot is, and I think the numbers are still holding true with this. Maybe someone correct me, but men are twice as likely to get it and die than women. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
statistic?
No, I've seen that. I haven't seen twice as much of, but I've heard African Americans get it at a higher rate than white people, than Caucasians.
Well, I
But
think
I haven't heard the.
I think 3 strikes are old white, or old male, and heavy. Those are things that are like not good. And I
That's me.
I happen to just whip on all 3 of those. Yes.
Whip. I heard an interesting thing that they said that nicotine does something to your cells that repulses the virus, and wouldn't it be ironic that nicotine could keep you from getting the COVID-19? Have you heard that one, Paul? I've heard it twice now.
I haven't heard nicotine, but oddly enough, I heard methamphetamine, which
that's some side effects there, dude.
I didn't go out and buy an 8-ball. That's for sure. When I heard that, I said, "Oh, no."
That's some hellacious side effects there.
But what's fun? Yeah, I don't know how to do it. Yeah, Dennis said men around 63%. Dennis, is that still the statistics? I don't know, but yeah, that's
Is that a model or is that actually statistics? Because I don't trust them.
Models for
Come on up, Dennis.
For accurate models, you need data.
Yeah, you need accurate data.
You need data to make the models work, and some of the early models I think were worst case scenarios. What you did that was an interesting video that you sent me today, and I didn't get a chance to because it was an hour long, and I needed a nap.
Yeah,
among other things, but one thing he didn't really mention, he was saying that the numbers are so much lower, but it could have been because of the social distancing. Maybe that really flattened out the curve. I don't know.
Yeah,
yet.
The interesting thing is they're going to have numbers on states that social distance, and they're going to have numbers on states that didn't. Now I get it. The states that didn't have a lot less population density than states that do, but those are going to be interesting numbers, that come out.
No, and hopefully within a week or two, we're going to, the testing I think is ramping up. I hope it is, and I hear it is. Yeah, once we find out about it, and when people get tested and they have antibodies, I think there'll be a sigh of relief, and hopefully we'll get back onto something called normalcy or something close to it.
Yeah.
What kind of changes do you think will be permanent over this? Do you have any?
Well, I think our goal really is to get back to the way it was before. I really do. I mean, that's the way I want to live. I want to live the way we lived before, and I don't know about permanent changes. Are gonna make public gatherings illegal? I don't think they do that.
No,
it would kill sporting events.
But in our lifetime, this has been it's a world changing event. I mean, it's a worldwide event. So yeah, I don't know. I think there'll be something. I don't necessarily think it'll be bad. I don't think they'll ban gatherings. That would be hard for me to believe. But who knows?
In our lifetime, you're right, but it's happened before. It happened with the Spanish flu. It happened.
But that one was when the world was much bigger place. Now when the Spanish flu happened, there was very little world travel. Now it's absolutely.
You're right. We weren't getting 5,000 people a day from China into California. We weren't.
Or all over. So we are a smaller world.
Or maybe we were. Maybe we were.
And information travels a lot faster nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Someone mentioned my background. I'm wondering if anybody's figured it out yet. I haven't heard. Let me give you a little closer look. I know all lakes kind of look the same. I'll let someone try to figure that out.
Not me.
I did the best that I can. It was requested, by the way. This is a background that was requested. So
give us a hint. Who was it requested?
You want me to tell you? And maybe that will give you a hint.
Probably won't.
Cacteats requested this background. Yes, she did. She caught me on my way to a rest stop and I had to take a leak. I don't know. So she gave me this idea during that time. Sis nailed it. Sis got it. Oh, we got
I
Dennis.
can't see the comment.
We got Dennis coming up. Let's see what's going on. Eagle Lake.
Dennis with that.
Hey, I'm in my shop. I'm on my iPad. I'm not sure if my voice is going to work very good.
It's
You're
okay.
good. You're loud and clear. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are scratching up, so this might not work very good.
You coming in
I'll
okay?
use my phone.
I can hear you pretty good.
You're cracking up.
I know I'm funny, but
So,
Hey, Dennis.
so yeah, no, old Dr. Campbell's definitely men are dying at a higher rate, 63 to 37, something like that. Men over women dying. And that's pretty statistically through all of the countries they're finding. Black people.
I got a
too,
question.
He thinks that black people is because of the vitamin D deficiency when you have more melatonin in your skin. Vitamin D is a very big vitamin you want to keep in your system for immunity. So that's his take on it, is that it's probably a vitamin D deficiency in the black, darker skinned population. So
On
you
the
know, it's
men,
all kind of speculative.
are the men getting it at that higher rate too, or just dying of it? Because I could see probably men put themselves out there more than women in construction jobs, and
I think the men are getting a higher rate too. The graphs he was showing, the men outdid the women all through it in all different age groups. You know,
catching it and dying.
woman and a man. And so they caught it more and they died more.
and isn't that
So yeah, they're taking us old men out, and women are going to rule the world.
now isn't that's probably a good thing?
Yeah.
But it's kind of
They already do.
World.
isn't that kind of unusual
I
for
gotta-
a virus that men get it more than women? I mean,
This isn't working very good.
no.
All right.
Oh well, you are
You
breaking
tried.
up. You are breaking up a little bit. So let me drop the link. Does anyone else like to come up and say hello?
Come in clear.
There you go.
That's a little better. Oh, here. Oh, well, we got a newbie. We got a newbie on deck.
Got a version?
We got it. Well, I'm not going to say that. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We got a newbie.
Well. Look who it is. Finally.
Well, you made it. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, somebody loaned me a cam, and it.
Okay, Joe, I got to mute you for a second, and I'll tell you why. Because you have another device on watching Facebook, and you can't do that. Otherwise, you'll get like a feedback loop. So if you have another device on just mute it. Just mute the Facebook channel, and you should be okay. And then I'll let you back. Otherwise, it's a really bad loop. Let's see.
Okay.
Much better.
Does that work now?
Yeah, real good.
All right. I went off Facebook. Okay.
So what's the little kitty behind you?
What's that?
What's the kitty behind you? Who's the kitty?
Oh, is she there? Oh, yeah. Should be all over me in a minute.
So you got it. Good to see you.
You know, this is the first time I've seen myself on video in maybe 20 years. It's kind of shocking.
Are you older?
Well, I just want everyone.
The mirror is much more forgiving. This is a little too real.
No, well, let's qualify that, Joe.
It is what it is, huh?
These webcams add 20 pounds in 10 years.
What's that? Say that again?
The webcams add 20 pounds in 10 years.
Wait, you're a little loud. I'm going to see if I can turn your volume down. I'm getting like a real high gain when you talk.
Okay, let me. Is that any better?
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't have any volume button on here.
I do. Yeah, the webcam adds 20 pounds in 10 years. So everybody just understand that.
Adds 20 pounds and a whole lot of wrinkles too.
Yes, it does. It's part of the
It makes me look worse than I really do.
game. Well, Sis says you look great,
Hey, sis.
but I am hearing myself. But oh well.
Well, this is very cool. I hope you're not expecting much because I can be about as boring as anybody, more so than most.
No, I know you've been watching for a long time and you want to get on. So, yeah, I definitely hear an echo.
Is there a way to turn volume down? I got off Facebook.
You can turn the volume down on whatever you're listening to. That might help.
Do what?
Turn the volume down on your device so it's not as loud for you. You should be able to do that.
Let me see.
Now you muted it. You're muted right now. Now you're better.
You know, Patrick, this is probably something you and I should work out when the
Yeah.
show's not on.
A pair of headphones would keep it from happening too.
Oh, I got headphones with this cam.
Yeah, headphones will help because what we're doing is you're hearing me through the speaker, and it's coming back from your microphone.
Shit. Well, I'm going to have to go off then, and
Yeah, put the headphones on and try to come back.
I don't even know where to plug them in at.
They might be Bluetooth.
Let me play with it, and when things get a little slow in the next hour, I'll buzz you again.
No, good. I'm glad I'm making progress.
Because, see, I can't even understand what you're saying because there's a high gain. Anyway, okay, bye.
Okay. Well, we had a quick visit from Uncle Joe, and my goodness, that is scary. Cheers. Let me drop the. You think it? I don't know, sis. I think it was coming from Joe. I'm just guessing. Am I echoing now? How I turned my gain way down on my microphone. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? I know it'll take a while before you can answer, but if you can't hear me, you can't hear me. If you can hear me, you can say, yeah, I can hear you. If not, I don't know. That's a start. That is a start, Kurt. Can you? I wish I knew sign language like Sis and Donnie. I could. They could be my my test reference. Oh, I know I'm good, but can you hear me? Oh, I know these microphones that you can buy can have a lot of gain to them. Dean wants to talk about Eagle Lake memory. I would very much appreciate if Dean got on here and spoke about an Eagle Lake memory. Oh, again, Joe, as a writer, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard, Uncle Joe. As a writer, with all these delays, when I see no, and I did it last night too myself, when you see a no, I don't know what that refers to. Here's Sis coming on.
Hey,
Leave it on yourself.
leave it on myself. Dean had an Eagle Lake memory he kind of wanted to share.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Dennis will appreciate this.
This is not a funny script. This is really a memory of Eagle Lake.
This is a truism. Well, Sis and I had just purchased a nice camper, and it was about the middle of May, and we were going to go up opening weekend to Eagle Lake. So we did all the camping and got all the food and the Dietzes and the Shaws and the Dixons. Away we went. Got up there, had fairly successful catching of fish in the morning, Saturday morning. And then about 11 o'clock in the morning, here comes this black cloud. And it started to rain, and I thought, well, I have a boat out there because Brian wanted to go for a boat ride. So I had rented one of the little 12-foot aluminum from the wharf there, and I took the kids and my granddaughter for a ride. Well, that was about a half hour before the storm came. It started to rain, but the rain was okay. It's the wind. The wind came up so fast. We hustled all of the kids into the camper, and lo and behold, I look out the door, and there's Di running after her tent, which is like a bowling ball, going down, and Carol's screaming. Juan's inside the tent, and water's coming in. They didn't know how to zip it shut. And it was not a Kodak moment at that point in time. Well, it went by. Carol drove into Susanville to dry out everything, and we started talking up in the camper, and we were playing checkers or something like that. And I said, "Well, I better go check on the boat." So I went out there, and no boat. No, it's not even around. And I beached it quite a ways up in the sand, but I didn't anchor it. I just beached it. And so, what the hell do I do now? And I was trying to figure out, what's that boat worth? I said, because my mind was such that the boat was out there and it sank. But David was there, and David said, I got an idea where we can find that boat. I said, what's that, Dave? So it was a can. No, it was a jar.
It was a Danny.
And it screwed the jar on, put just a little bit of water in the jar so that it would kind of bounce up and down in the water. Took it out about 100 feet and put it in the water. And the wind was still pretty good. And we followed that jar and kind of could look ahead, and we couldn't see anything. And I said, I don't think this is working. And Dave said, yeah, it's going to work. It really is. Sure enough, we were within 100 feet of that boat, and we could just barely see it because the aluminum just really went in with the color of the water and the sky and the reflection. Got the boat, pulled it back in, bailed some water out of it. I took it over to the store, and thank God I didn't have to buy a boat that day. But it was that's one of those experiences. Too bad we don't do it anymore. You can't even get a boat in the water where we were camping.
Dennis, come on the screen if you remember that.
I don't know if Dennis was there. Poop was there. Damien was there. Di was there. Terry was there with her boyfriend. I remember that. A long time ago.
Well, that was a good memory. Thank you, Dean. I didn't realize David was such a MacGyver.
Yeah, he was.
He's a jack of all trades, that guy. Is David listening today? How's he doing, David?
Okay, that's all we wanted to say.
Well, come on. You got to help me out here, sis.
I don't have much to talk about.
What'd you think about the cooking show last night?
It was great. I forgot to watch it until right at the end. And then I went, oh, shoot. But I went back in and watched it again. It was really good. I thought they both did really good. My only comment was it was a lot of good information, so much good information that I told Jennifer and Susie they could do a series. And all the facts that they gave, it's enough to do a whole, they could do a whole series of cooking shows, because any one of those things, there was a lot of information.
No, in
Jennifer
the first
knows a lot.
No, in the first one it can be a little intimidating when you realize you're the only one up there. I think for me it was a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And getting the lighting a little better, lighten up the faces and that kind of thing. But no, I thought it went really well. It took me right back to Grandma's kitchen when Susie was making the biscuits. It really did.
Yeah, Susie, you'll have to do the bacon grease milk gravy for Brendan because he wanted to know how to do that. So, yeah, but I was kind of taken back because I remember Grandma taught me to make biscuits using Bisquick mix. It's kind of like she could bake a cake from scratch, but she never did. She always used mixes. her and Cac both, I think, because they were so cheap, I guess. I mean, I still do the same thing sometimes. Instead of baking a cake from scratch, you use a mix. Saves a lot of different ingredients, and you can get them for 99 cents. But I always thought she used Bisquick mix. I don't remember her making them from scratch with flour and butter and sugar, but I guess she must have, because she taught Susie how to do it.
You know what I miss was remember her bacon and vinegar dressing for salad?
Yeah, I make that every now and then. So does Jennifer. Yeah.
No, that was, I don't know if she invented that or if that's just an old recipe. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Bacon grease dressing. I've had it in restaurants a couple times.
Oh, okay.
It's never as good as what she did, because I think she always used a lot of sugar.
Oh, of course.
I always made things better with sugar.
Sugar makes everything taste better.
Yeah. You should have Jennifer and Susie do that one on the show, because it's actually pretty easy to do.
Oh,
It's a pretty easy one.
Yes. Okay. We will. I think they should do it again. I think there could be a series that way.
Okay, I'm gonna my dog is deciding to bring branches in the house and eat them because I'm not giving her attention.
You need another dog.
Oh.
Sis, trust me on this one. Get another dog.
She's keeping us quite busy.
Trust me. Well, she won't keep you nearly as busy if she has another dog to play with all the time. Trust me.
Oh,
Trust me.
second dog.
Now, Kaki says it's a depression recipe, and I don't know if that was from the depression era or if it's it helps with depression. I don't know.
No, I think it's from the Depression era.
Okay.
They're just using ingredients they had, would be my guess, right, Cac?
I wonder if they made their own vinegar back in the depression. It's not hard to make.
Dennis said, do the vinegar, do the dressing now. You want me to make vinegar grease dressing right now? Dean's in there cooking dinner. I can't take over the kitchen. I just got him in there. My God. Basically, just it's just cooking bacon, and then when you get the bacon grease going, you add in a little. I use red wine vinegar. You add some red wine vinegar, and then you add a little white sugar or brown sugar, and you stir it up, and it kind of sizzles and sizzles, and then you let it cook for a few minutes, and there you have it. Pour it over your salad. Am I forgetting something with that?
I think that's it. I watched her make it a number of times, and I make it once in a while. If I cook bacon, I'll go ahead and make it because I just like it even without salad. It's just good.
Oh, really?
It's good on sandwiches.
Yeah, and or do dipping stuff with it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like vinegar. I like vinegar. Get another dog.
Get another dog. No, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can. You'll be happier. The dog will be happier. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had 2 dogs before?
No.
Trust me. You got to trust me on that.
No, I do trust you because I've had 2 horses, and I would have never had 1 horse. I always had to have 2 horses. So yeah.
No,
Okay, well, I got to get these sticks out of her mouth. Got to go.
Okay, but let me ask you this: is it a girl dog?
Yeah.
When she sees another dog, does she get excited?
Yeah. She
Dogs
plays
love
plays with other dogs at the park all the time.
Dogs love dogs.
Yeah, we take her to the park a lot every day. Every day. She played this morning with her best friend, a little black poodle. They played and ran and ran and ran for a good half hour.
See, you don't even have to take them out if they have a dog at home.
Yeah.
They just play.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay, good.
I do believe it. I just can't go through the puppy thing again. Dawn figured it out. She got 2 dogs, so she was smart.
Did their dogs get along? Donnie's dogs?
Yeah, they get along great. They entertain each other all the time. Right.
Didn't burn off a lot of energy with each other.
I'm getting really tired of looking at myself. I wasn't expecting to go on today.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah. Can I just talk to you and do this?
Sure, but maybe not walk around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm getting that feedback when the camera bounces around. It's a little bit discombobulating.
Yeah.
But beautiful backyard, boy. That's filled in a lot of greenery.
Yeah, it's really getting kind of overgrown.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
never had cats, have you? Well, you did when Don. You had Moccasin. Was that your
I
last?
kept, yeah, I kept her cat until it died. I think it lived to be 22. Yeah. Right.
Put it over spinach.
Put it over spinach. Yeah, you're right, Kath. With red onion. Yes, Maggie, with red onion too. Yeah.
Welcome. Good to see you, Maggie. Who else is out there? Well, actually, we've dropped all our viewers.
Yeah, I got to go too because I got to go cook dinner.
Okay, I'm
I'll
going to
make
drop the
bacon
link.
dressing.
I'm going to drop the link because ooh, that's scary. That's like, I feel like I have a hangover and I haven't even been drinking. Ooh, I need to take a little more. Yeah, I don't think I have narcolepsy, but I do like to take a nap in the afternoon. I think it's quite a luxury to be able to get 20 minutes or a half hour in the afternoon. And I'm not used to working that often. And today I did drive a little over 300 miles. I went by. It was a real good trip. It's actually beautiful, warm down in Garberville. It's inland. It's inland in Humboldt County, and probably 20 degrees warmer. It was real nice. And now I'm back. I pulled into Crescent City, and the fog was there, and the skies weren't quite as blue, and it's probably in the 60s. Yes. Yes, no matter how hard we try. Yes, it creeps up on us and then it just hits us real hard, Cac. Oh, I needed that coffee. Actually, I had a couple Otter Pops and some coffee. And I'm raring to go now. I'm raring to go. Someone come on up here and bail me out of this mess because we're pretty much done with viewers. Yeah, Maggie, a little bit too good. A little bit too good is what I want to say. No, actually, this morning driving down, I was just pulling into a rest stop. Had to relieve myself from my morning coffee, and I did that in Arcata, or McKinleyville, I guess I should say. And CAC said, "Could you find a picture of Eagle Lake?" And I did a little internet search. Usually, there's everything, and this said Eagle Lake. I don't really remember I've been there a couple of times, but maybe someone will confirm that the picture behind me is in fact Eagle Lake, California, which, if I'm not mistaken, it has a unique water quality. It's real alkaline, if I'm not mistaken, and the trout tend to grow real. They have their own kind of their own trout there that grow really big. Eagle Lake trout. I've heard the boys talk about it. Have I ever went and fished for them? No, but I know that's one of their favorite things to do is go camping at Eagle Lake. I don't know when's the last time that's happened, but I know there were some big family get-togethers up there. So a lot of family memories in Eagle Lake. And I'm kind of curious. Well, I don't even know what county that's in. It's up by Susanville. High Mountain Lake, High Sierra Mountain Lake. Oh, Randy, good to see you. You're going to have to get a camera. I know the government's looking at you, but we just got to get over that. We got to get over that because they are looking at us. And I know you were probably on watch list at some time in your life, if I'm not mistaken. In high school, I think you were on a watch list by somebody, if I remember the story right. But you're still you made it. They didn't. You haven't been. I don't think you ever spent time in jail, have you? But well, we've got about an hour and 23 minutes. Maybe no one else wants to come on. Maybe we'll do a short one. And tonight, I probably will come on my channel, Patrick Smith's channel, at 8 o'clock to see what happens. Again, I'm kind of tired of talking, hearing my thoughts because I'm hoping we'll get some new fresh blood. If David is listening, I would love to see Brandon come on here, and I'd like to hear what he has to say, or anybody. Oh, thank you, Maggie. I just saw Maggie pop up on the on deck circle. She's here to save the show. There you are. Can you hear me? Are you frozen? Are you? I think you're freezing up on us
Is that better?
a little bit. We're getting better. We're getting there. We're getting there. Better.
All right.
Good.
My camera. Oh, give me a few minutes. That's all I could do.
Okay. What's going on today, Mac?
Well, I'm filling a few orders, which is good news.
I didn't think you were taking them till the 1st of May. What's going on?
I know. Got some friends that I'm filling orders for, so that's fun.
It is. Be careful what you ask for.
I know. I know.
How are you shipping them, if I might ask you? Because shipping's such a big deal.
I'm doing it through USPS, just through the post office box. I found it the least expensive because you can put everything in a small 12 by 12 bag up to 70 pounds and ship it for like $8.
So you do flat rate shipping?
Yes.
Where do you
Clip
buy
and
the?
ship.
What's that?
It's called Clip and Ship. You just contact the post office and they mail you the bags for free, and you print it off your own printer at home, the label, ship it
Okay.
out.
You know, if you sign up for stamps.com, it's about, instead of paying $19.95 for a large flat rate, I get them for like $18.20. Look into
I'm
stamps.com.
waiting to, yeah, I'm waiting for them, and also I'm looking into that ship package. Something new came out.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah,
I like view it because I get the boxes for free, which is about $1 a box, and the post office gives them to you. So I base my whole business around what fits in the different sizes of flat rate shipping. It makes my life a lot easier and cheaper.
yep.
Yeah, like there are third parties that you can actually get cheaper prices than the post office. And that way you could just take them and drop them off, or they'll come pick them up, and you don't have to stand in line.
Yeah, these go in the mailbox just fine. So it works.
Oh, okay. Well, good. So what's your most popular item at this point?
Probably the Jaunty face serum.
Yeah.
It's a little face. I have one right here, real handy, but I just packed the package up to go. And some of the toners, face toners.
And where are you getting those from? Are you making them yourself, putting them together, or they just come ready to go?
Company called Essential Wholesales and Lab, actually out of Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of the base product for me, and then I just kind of add my additives and essential oils stuff to make my own.
Awesome.
So I'm thinking up with one good product and do that real nice with the packaging, something professionally packaged, and take it that way and go to Amazon with it. But I got too many different little things going on to even think about that right now.
No, it's good to start slow, but I imagine you've got quite a little education just to get where you're at now, right?
Oh yeah.
I think that's the fun part is that, I don't know how much you have to go through as far as labeling, what kind of restrictions they have for, like, is it CDFA, California Department of Food and Drugs, that you have to
Do the international label.
Okay, what was that
So I
again?
just do the basic. I don't go international, so I'm just shipping domestic.
So do you have to register with any agency?
No.
Well, you're lucky. Oh, you're real lucky.
No.
You are very lucky. That's why I wanted to do dog treats, because there's no real regulation for animal products. And I still think there's a great market for CBD dog biscuits. And there's no real regulation, so it makes it so much easier.
Be a lot easier than having to put that shit down their throat like Dan does.
Do you guys use CBD for your dogs?
Yeah, when we go to the desert, they go a long way in the car, it calms them down.
Oh, okay, yeah. You got to be careful that my dog, my dog's accident. I made some butter once that had THC in it, and it really the dogs just like they can't walk, and it's scary. It's very scary, but they get over it. They literally become almost paralyzed, and they're not real happy. They're pretty freaked out. But the CBD doesn't nearly have the same effect on it. Well, we have your other cousin.
Yeah. I wanted to say hi to Meg. How you doing, Maggie? Is she froze up?
Is that our cousin Curdy?
That's cousin
Hi,
Curdy.
Meg.
Hi.
That sure was a pretty picture of yourself that you posted on Facebook.
Okay, I
really
might have to
liked
ship
it.
out because my camera or my battery's dying. And I
Okay.
can't hear you guys.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
So bye for now.
Thanks for coming on.
Adios, amigos. Amigas.
So you're here to save the day. Kurt.
No, I'm here to end the show.
Okay. Well, that's fine with me.
It dies with me.
No, well.
Unless somebody wants to come up. I know. I just wanted to jump up, and Maggie did really post a beautiful picture of herself on Facebook.
She did.
And got a lot of compliments on it too. And I liked it.
It was good advertising for her product, wasn't it?
Yeah. She's a good spokesperson for her product.
No, I need to get your cousin and my kind of cousin to come on and give me because she seemed at one point an enthusiastic about my products. And that's always, hearing it from the owner, it doesn't mean as much as hearing it from a satisfied customer. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. But whose cousin were you talking about?
Yours.
Who's that?
Pretty Penny.
Oh.
Do you remember when you made
Penny?
when you made the posts about my product?
No.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell the story. Thank you. Thank you for the opening here.
Yeah. No, I didn't know Penny was into cannabis.
Hey, no. I don't sell cannabis, Kurt.
Yeah, I know you don't, but you still have a product to grow it. Well, it works for other things.
Well, I'll do the quick story. She mentioned.
Okay, go ahead.
She mentioned on Facebook she had some kind of plant. I don't know what it was, but it never flowered. And I sent her some of my product, and I'm not kidding you. I think she put it on the day before or the day she went to work, and she came home and it was flowering.
I do remember that story, and it was that flower from Hawaii that everybody grows. It starts with a P. Plumerias.
Plumeria.
There's
Plumeria.
Dennis. Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought of it.
all by
Dennis.
yourself. How
Thank you.
doing? I'm on my phone now. It should be better.
It's better. It's good.
Yeah.
Joe,
You're
yes.
in the background.
I can help you, Joe.
No, that was a pretty picture that Diane put up. I mean, that Maggie put up.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
it was.
then did you get out fishing yesterday or today? You talk
No.
you talk a good game.
We're going tomorrow. Me and Peter are going to the opener tomorrow. We just hooked our rods up. He went and bought worms, so we're gonna
Tell
go.
Peter I said hi. Tell Peter I
say
said
hi.
hi. Take it for me.
Hey, Pete.
See him in the background.
He's a good guy, man. I like him.
You're not wearing masks.
He's got a
Dennis,
beard like yours.
you're not wearing masks, brother. What's going on? Come on.
At my house? I'm in my backyard.
Well, you're basically hugging and kissing the guy. You better.
No, he's 6 feet away.
Give you a hug and a kiss.
So I had to wear a mask today, and I don't dig them. I frickin' hate them. Linda and I went to this big Korean store in Claremont Mesa. It used to be an old Sears building, I guess, from what I understand. But you gotta wear a mask when you go inside the store anymore. Even if they don't require it, you get such evil looks from people if you don't have a mask on. It's just like you're getting shamed, So I wore one of those masks today. We were probably in there for a half hour, and I couldn't wait to get that thing off.
It makes my nose start itching, and it's just very uncomfortable. Makes me almost nauseated when I have it on. I hate it.
Yeah, I can't breathe right. My glasses fog up. My beard doesn't help, and those masks are made for for one size fits all, and from here to here, I think I'm bigger than the average Chinaman. I'm guessing that I am.
Maybe. They say if you breathe out of your nose slowly and think about your breathing, they're a little more comfortable, but they're still miserable.
They are.
You know what I learned too? Peter taught me that. Clean your glasses with shaving cream.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they won't fog up.
Yeah.
So,
spit does the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about. Should we bring up the Google Earth thing, Smitty, or no?
Dude, there's a million plants there, bro.
There's no one watching it. It doesn't matter. Sure.
No.
So I was just cruising around on Google Earth, somewhere way up and out in the middle of the desert, up above weed, And I mean, I came across 1,000 grows in a fairly small area.
I've never seen
so obvious. Huh?
I've seen a lot of grows, brother, in some of the biggest growing areas in the world, and I've never seen anything like that area.
No.
And no one knows about it. My partner doesn't know about it, and he knows about everything.
Hey, this is cartel weed, dude. Stay away.
Something
I don't think so.
Going on there.
I don't think so. There's some kind of monopoly or some kind of co-op or something going on up there.
But they got easy water
Something.
from the fucking Mount Shasta.
So what you do, Kurt? If you, I can narrow it down. If you go up to like weed, and you'll see a Lake Shasta, and you go a little bit.
The
east,
little like
and then you'll see a place called Pluto's Cave. And if you go right to Pluto's Cave, it's like there's nothing. But zoom in, and then there's a lot. Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot is a small.
And no one knows about it. Like, anyone I've talked to has no idea about this area.
I don't know how you spotted it because there's a lot of agriculture. There's a lot of pivots up there and a lot.
No. It's just
a lot of
desert.
growth.
I always wanted to go in there rock hounding because there's some really neat, rock formations out there. I remember them going up 97, and so I've been doing a lot of rock hounding lately, just going up and walking around and looking at little mineral deposits and looking at rocks. And so I just decided I'm going to go look in there. I was on Google Earth because I look around Paradise for spots because I found there's a mineral slide in Paradise I found off of Google Earth. Really interesting. So I thought I'd just go up there and look around, and I was just like blown. I just went, holy moly.
It's absolutely weed. I know what the farms look like. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen enough of those to know it's.
And that's still in California, there, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Siskiyou County. Yeah, up above Carrick. Carrick is a little town on 97. If you get to Grass Valley on 97 or Grass Lake, you went too far. It's really out there, a little great flat desert zone. There's actually some little lava tubes out there. That Pluto's Cave is actually a lava tube off of Mount Shasta.
Are there greenhouses?
Yes. But completely huge outdoor thing too. It'll blow you away. If you ever mess around on Google Earth, you'll have fun with it.
No, when Dennis told me that, I was kind of like, yeah, no big deal. But when I went there and I started zooming in and then scanning, it's like, oh my God. Because it's just an unknown area.
I was telling Smith it'd be a good place to promote his business.
So I might drive there this weekend, actually. I'm thinking about doing
it. Just drop off little care packages at all the driveways.
Yeah, well, they'll pack you those, man. Free advertising.
No, it's insane. You got to check it out, Kurt. I
think what's insane is that you would even think about going into that area. I think that's insane.
That might be. You might be very right because something is up there that's unusual.
I've been into Berry Creek in November, and it's not. I can get by just fine. It's not a problem.
Well,
yeah, when your hair was long.
Know yourself and not be a deviant, and that, people can tell. People can tell what your intentions are.
I have a feeling a lot of those. Actually, Dennis, what I'm worried about is now because what's changed is this is what's changed that you might not appreciate. Once the legal market came along, there became a dividing line between illegal grows and legal grows. They all used to, when it was all illegal, there was a brotherhood. And then when some people invested to become legal and their neighbor didn't, when they're paying taxes, and they're paying the fees for the licenses, they're not friends with these guys anymore. So
Right.
a lot of grows were illegal grows. I know what illegal.
They have armed militias going around, probably watching over things, no doubt.
Yeah, and you know what their motto is? Shoot first and ask questions later. That's their motto.
Probably.
No, it's kind of the whole game has changed when the legalization came because people turn each other in, and it's actually in some of those farms I guarantee you were illegal because I know what's a legal farm. And
Right.
crazy.
We gotta go just hang out at a bar in Weed and get to know a couple of locals.
No, I did take your advice, and I called
there. I got him on the deal right now.
I called a grow store that was in Weed, and that looked like the closest grow store I could find to this area. And I said, I have a product, I would like to get it on your shelves. And I said, by the way, I looked on Google Earth, and I said, I see a lot going out in your area. And she kind of giggled with a real kind of like a, maybe you should kind of thing. But
yeah, we don't talk about that here.
But they never called me back. So I have to follow up on that one somehow.
Gotta show up in person, bro. Give them some good.
We could be taking a camera in there, just doing a documentary.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's what they want, cameras.
Yeah.
How far is that from you, Pat?
It's legal, bro. It's legal.
Stop.
No, not those. Probably, I'm thinking 4.5, 5 hours from your house.
That's quite a drive.
Yeah, but
yeah, about 4 hours from my house.
It's 4 hours.
So you guys are about the same distance from it.
Okay, so Mr. I can get along with anyone. You'll have to meet me up there then on Saturday. And then we'll yeah.
I will.
Start growing your hair.
My audio again. My Wi-Fi's going down. Nice to talk.
What are you on a Wi-Fi? What's going?
Yeah, I'm only on a
See you
Wi-Fi.
later. See you later, Jen.
Khaki, you didn't know about Dennis and his new boyfriend? Dennis, you didn't tell her yet? No, Khaki, that's Dennis's good friend, Pete. He's been Dennis's friend for years and years and years. Pete's a good old boy.
Happy-go-lucky Pete.
Happy-go-lucky Pete. Pete's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Dennis was very leery of having him coming by for a while when with the whole COVID scare, because Pete actually works in a grocery store, so
yeah.
he didn't want to hang out with Pete for a while, but I guess they got over that.
Yeah, time way of like getting over that stuff, doesn't it? If enough of this bullshit.
Yeah, something's going on. We'll have to see. Khaki, I don't think everything I know. There's nothing to come out of. Anyways, well, should we wrap this thing up? You got anything interesting to say, Mr. Shaw?
I got nothing. I was hoping you had something interesting to talk to me about. You're the host. You gotta be up on all the current events and shit like that.
Like I said, my writing staff is on strike right now due to the coronavirus because I'm not paying them very well.
That's rough. Mine's the same way. Yeah.
No,
I haven't seen Damien up in here for a while. I don't know if he's being camera shy or I don't know what he's doing. Everybody wants to see Dame and he never comes up.
He was my sidekick for the first part.
I don't know what's up with that.
What's going on, Damien? Come on now. No, I thought I could embellish the story today of going to Murder Mountain, but I would be embellishing a lot. But I'm sure a lot of my product does go to those areas. Hey, Scotty, good to see you.
You were in Humboldt today, then? Is that where you were?
Did you ever watch that documentary, Murder Mountain?
Yeah. yeah, pretty scary stuff, really.
You know what?
People
Honestly,
disappearing up there.
they did not talk about the dark stuff. Was not even touched. The real dark stuff.
Such as like the is there a trade going on there or
Well, I did. You know how you get feeling. You know, you just get like hair on the back of your. Okay, well, I'll tell you from my point of view. I in Garberville, it's kind of like. I think if you Google where's the growing marijuana or something, Garberville is like the epicenter of growing marijuana. So what happens is a lot of travelers come from all over the world to come there, and they're called trimmigants.
Yeah.
So they come and trim and make, they make usually $200-300 a day. And it's, it's,
and all the weed they could smoke.
And all the weed they can smoke. And what happens is, and this was from my take on it. I was at a show once and I was in my big truck, and I'm an old man, and I was sitting on my tailgate, and I think I was having lunch or something, waiting to go on these big cannabis shows. And 3 beautiful young girls in their 20s, suntan, gorgeous. They could hardly speak English. They were from Spain. And they came up to me and asked me if I had any trimming work to do. And I just thought to myself, I said,
vulnerable.
You should not be doing this, because these places are way up in the mountains. Their definition, they're off grid and they're hidden.
Nobody knows what's going on.
I was trying to explain to him. I said, that's really a bad idea. And then about an hour later, I saw in a parking lot this guy. He looked like he came out of Central Casting as a mass murderer, and he was in an ice cream truck. And this guy looked like a Hollywood movie murderer, and he held up a sign saying, "I need trimmers." And I just said, something's going on. I started asking questions, and they never talked about this in that documentary, but there's so many people end up missing, and they're not even known. They're not
right.
Local. They're people
They did talk about missing people, and they talked about the trimmers that end up missing. I remember hearing about that, but yeah.
No, it just really kind of freaked me out. It's kind of like it was like there is a real dark side to this. There's a real dark side to this industry, because I know, it's just it kind of scared me a little bit, especially when I saw that guy with the when I saw on the sign. I was like, oh my God, do you really get people who are going to get in that ice cream truck with you? It was just crazy.
Come here, little girl. I got some for you.
Oh, and these girls were gorgeous,
One thing I took away from that was I didn't know. I always thought Humble was the place to grow, and that's why they grew it there, because conditions were right. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Is that it was the place to grow because it was so out of the way. It was such like a secret kind of area. Places you could these mountain roads and be away from everybody. So it was more about a seclusion thing than it was, the right growing conditions.
And actually, there's a little bit of both. There's some south facing. And actually a guy explained it to me. There's a Kings Range mountain range that's along the coast, and it's real high and real abrupt. So just inland from that actually produces kind of like winery conditions, where you get the right amount of cool, the right amount of sun. So there are some sweet spots. There's also sweet spots in Southern Oregon too, by the way. It's closer to me than Humboldt is. So I live right between 2 of the biggest growing areas in the world, until I saw that what Dennis showed me, because that area was bigger than anything I've ever seen before. And it was just something is going on with that area, and I'm going to find a little more, and hopefully I'll be able to.
So, what does Kansas like? Does it like heat? Does it like humidity? Does it like cool temperatures? I'm sure it doesn't like freezing overnight, does it?
No.
Can it withstand frostbite? Frost?
Cannabis loves sunshine. It loves water, and it loves cool. It doesn't like real hot. Yeah. So Well, what it is, I'll explain a little. You know, the smells of cannabis, they're from chemical compounds called terpenes, and that's what gives cannabis its variety of smells, and it's pretty pungent. You know, some cannabis is very pungent, and that's one of the qualities of cannabis. And terpenes are designed to be released during the heat to either attract insects or repel insects. You know, it's their protection or attraction devices. What terpenes are. So if it gets real hot, it loses. You know, they evaporate off the plant. So
I see.
So the quality dissipates because you really want those strong odors and strong smells make it worth a lot more money. So you definitely want to grow in a cooler climate, but it loves sunshine and it loves water. So if you have, and we have those, you know, there's a lot of water. You know, in some of the remote areas, they have to, you know, they mess up a lot of streams and that stuff, of course, but
yeah, irrigating, right?
No, cannabis likes kind of, you know, cool sunshine and water are big things. So they always look for a south-facing hill. You know, it's pretty easy to figure out where the grows are. You can say there's going to be a grow up there. I promise you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, kind of like where they point solar panels.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to growing grapes, kind of deal. You know, there's sweet spots for growing grapes.
Yep.
But yeah, I was at inspecting. I did those inspections for a number of years, so I learned a lot about what goes on in the industry. And when I saw what changes I saw when it was still not commercial legal but medical legal, it was usually bushy-haired hippies that were super shaped because they're usually on hillsides and they run around like goats, you know, tanned, big smiles, bright eyes, just proud of what they did. Some, you know, want to explain everything to when it went legal. The life was taken out of them because they're on camera. They're in a fence. They're paying big taxes. They're paying big fees. And it took the joy completely out of the industry. So it really changed dramatically.
Do you believe the black market for cannabis is as big? It can't be as big as the legal market. I know there's a black market. Oh, the black market is bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and here's a little secret just between me and you, because we're only listening. It's just me and you right now. Like Oregon had a surplus last year, a huge, you know, like I said, it was. But what happens is Nevada has some very high restrictions on growers, but Las Vegas is like one of the biggest markets in the world for an outlet, because if you think about it, it's a perfect
for legal weed.
For legal weed. So most of their market comes through illegally from states like Oregon and California.
I know. I have a buddy that has a connection to Humboldt, and he buys. He just buys ounces, but he buys an ounce for $100, which is what, $5 a gram, less than $5 a gram, and stuff you'd probably pay in a store $15 to $18 a gram for the same stuff. So
yeah, no, the black market actually is it's thriving now. California overtaxed and overregulated.
Yeah. I think the days of $400 an ounce are over. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
You know, but
those
days are long gone. But like you said, if you can get $100 an ounce, what else are you going to grow that's going to be $100 an ounce? I don't think you can grow anything.
Or even $10 a pound. You know, what agricultural product can you get $10 a pound for? Not much.
No.
And you can actually grow it like in fact, they do that now. That's how it's done. Like Big Ag gets in, and what they do is, you know, we talked about the trimmer grants, right? Where they trim it. Well, they don't do that anymore. They come through with tractors and harvest it, and then they flash freeze it, and then they make concentrates with it right away.
Yes. I've heard that.
So there's no trimming, and it's all done on mass scale, and the concentrates are worth a lot more because it's concentrated. So, you know, you know, literally you can't really get on a full semi, you really can't get more than, like, I did the math once, but probably maybe $20,000-$50,000 worth of nice bud, because it's real fluffy. But concentrate, you get $10 million.
Yeah,
because it's
I
just
can believe that.
down to a real dense product.
The other thing that the black market industry has going for it, I don't imagine there's a whole lot of overhead in growing weed. I mean, they're not out there with their John Deere's, growing weed. A black market guy, if he grew 100 plants or 200 plants, could him and a buddy could probably make that work. With
it's very labor intensive. You might be surprised.
Yeah.
But
I know there's a lot of tending to them. I mean, even the few plants that I've grown here and there, you got to be really, really up on the bugs, the little worms that get in there and just destroy stuff. And
most of the black markets are on hillsides, and try walking up and down the hill 50 times a day, carrying water or carrying supplies. It's
a young man's game.
It's a young man's game, and they're like I said,
but I still just not a whole lot of overhead in it. I mean, once you buy your soil, I guess.
Outdoor, it's not. Indoors, there's a lot of overhead.
Oh yeah.
With a lot more. It's just because there's no weather. It's not weathered. There's no dust. There's no wind. It looks a lot. It has what they call bag appeal, and the terpenes are usually a little more protected.
I gotcha.
So
I don't know. I go into one of those stores and it all smells like alfalfa hay. It does. I mean, back in the day, Dennis used to send me some stuff that, I mean, my friends were just blown away how it smelled. You could smell it before you even opened the package, and you had to seal a meal 3 times. I just don't think weed smells like it used to smell when you buy it from a distributor.
Well, I would. It all depends. There's overall the quality is much better overall, but they always talk about like today's much more potent. You could get weed every bit as potent as the potentest stuff you can get today in the 70s, except it was just much rarer. Because we were used to the stuff from Mexico where they didn't give a crap quality. They just crunched it down as hard as they could and left seeds and stems. And you remember the seeds and the stems, don't you?
Oh yeah. You'd have to have a lid to a cardboard bar, an album cover, a double album cover. Always worked good to let the seeds. You kind of hold it up at a slant and let the seed. Well, you bust up the buds and let the seeds all roll down. Or if you accidentally smoked one of those things, Dennis used to go, "I smoked the seed. I got a headache. Damn it! That seed gave me a headache."
No more seeds. Those are all that.
No. Now you're lucky if you find a seed. You're like, "Oh, I found a seed."
Yeah, they're worth like $30 a piece. Yeah, Randy, those were the thing. Yeah, it's hard to beat those from back in the 7 to tie sticks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember those. They were expensive back then, though.
And they were delicious. They had a great flavor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we jumped off into one of my favorite topics. Something it's an area I make my living on. So, no, it's plant fascinating. And you know what? People kind of worship the plant. It's kind of a neat industry to be in, and it's not like meth labs where you're really, believe it or not. Who knows? But anecdotally, I know people who swear that cannabis helps them. I have a lot of cancer patients that I give it. I grow a cancer garden every year, and I firmly believe it improves the quality of life for some people. I firmly believe that. Me, I probably use it for a crutch. I like it. I wish I really don't do it anymore, but no, I'm real sure it's beneficial to some people with pain. I'm really,
but there's always a downside to that, and that's the 12-year-old kid that sits in his room and smokes pot and plays video games all day, and I know people that are just the first thing they do when they get up in the morning is do a bong load or roll a joint and smoke it, and they smoke all day long. I know people like this.
No,
and I've known them all my life, and I know it affects them, and it's not in a good way.
It's hard. Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of, but again, because a kid does it in the wrong way, it's kind of like alcohol. I don't want
Yeah.
any doing alcohol, but again,
Right.
look what happened when you tried to stop.
No, I get it.
You know,
I get it. Yeah,
It's-
that kid's gonna smoke marijuana whether it's legal or not. I mean, you know,
And
we did.
I think in Colorado, they've shown that teenage usage has dropped since it became illegal. Again,
Yeah.
What studies do you listen to? The ones that you believe, that you want to believe, typically, right?
Yeah.
That's how studies usually work. You align them with what your beliefs are. But
You know, we might become something like, you know, like my grandson's not on Facebook. A lot of young people are on Facebook because it's kind of a older generation thing, right? That might happen with weed, you know. I don't know. Just a weird thought.
well, I definitely think that the mystique of it being illegal has a draw to it for teenagers, especially. I mean, that's kind
Yeah.
of, they tend to rebel a little bit, and that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
I never really did it until I was like 18 years old. I remember, well, with you.
I'm thinking, I don't think you're 18.
No, that's when I actually started like buying it. You know?
Yeah.
But I think I was much younger when I was exposed to it for sure.
I think I was a freshman in high school, to be honest with you, or just the summer I graduated 8th grade and was going that summer right there. I traded 4 M80s for a joint.
Oh, a big bang for a small bang, huh?
Exactly. Me and Joe Botticelli went down to the river bottom and smoked it. I don't know if I even got high, to be honest with you.
You know what? I think that's the first time I did. I'm sure I didn't get high. It's one of those things. But then when you do, it's like, oh, okay, this is fun.
Yeah.
Everything's funny, and food tastes really good.
I always get hungry.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, you know what? We've done our 2 hours. How about
Okay, let's go. I'll
I
see
think
you
so.
tonight at 8 o'clock.
You want me to do 8 o'clock show? You want to come on?
No. You know, if you're there, I'll probably pop in unless I'm already crashed out on the couch, which seems to be kind of my MO, is to fall asleep around 8 o'clock and wake up at midnight and then not be able to sleep the rest of the night.
No, you know, I have mixed messages about the 8 o'clock thing. I really do, and maybe it'll die. But you know, like I said, I'm done. I'm bored with myself. You know, if other people want to come on and get an outlet for that, might not be a good idea. It might not be a good idea.
I certainly don't need to argue anything politics. I'm over that. You know, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. They're going to get their news sources from what they feel is right. We've talked a lot about this, about people confirming their own beliefs with who they watch, and
that's what happens. And it turns out how right, even though I am 100% right about most everything, it's a hard time convincing anybody else of that. So
yeah,
I kind of got over.
That's right. Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Trying to convince somebody that you're right and they're wrong. Those are dangerous territories right there. You're gonna make a lot of enemies doing that.
I know, and I think that's what everyone's trying to do. Everyone believes.
Yeah, definitely.
You know that I'm right, you're wrong. Let me convince you, and let me tell you why you're wrong. And you're doing the same thing to me.
Let me send you this Google address, and you'll suddenly see the way I see things. You know it. And I could find pretty much anything to back up to oppose what you're saying on Google. We've talked about this ad nauseum, and it just, you're not going to change people's minds. You might be able to persuade a 13, 14, or 15-year-old kid, you know, but eventually that kid's going to grow up and start seeing things his own way.
And you know what? I have no interest in swaying a 14 or 15-year-old kid. I really have no interest
politically. Right.
You know, politically, in fact, I really don't even want to. I want them to, you know, you got to develop your filters in life and your life experiences. And
I've never talked to my grandkids about politics, not one time.
That's something that doesn't interest me. And maybe I will come on at 8 just because my calendar is really empty and I'm bored. And
Nothing good on TV.
if someone wants to come on, and if David's listening, I saw David up there, but again, everyone's lost. Love to see Brandon come on because David was saying how he was intimidated by his own boy, and that got me curious.
What persuasion is? What color is Brandon? Is he more red than blue, or more blue than red?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really, because you would ask the same thing about David. He's kind of hard to pin down too, as far as I don't think he considers himself red or blue either.
Right.
So I don't really either. I'm.
Well, yeah, but we all know you. I mean, I know you lean. You have more left-leaning tendencies than I do, for sure.
Yes.
I think you do.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
But I definitely do not align with. Well, again, if I had to align with a party, it would be the blue party. But they just disappoint me so much.
Yeah.
I'm unabashedly pro-worker. That's what I am. I'm if I have to err, like I say, I'm going to err on the side of worker, not business rich guy. I'm going to err on the side of worker. But we're getting into politics early, so I'm going to show you. We'll save that. We'll wrap this up now. How about that? Because I think
that's fine. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Peace. Thank you for coming on, Kurt. Okay. Well, we got through another one. I think I might go nap for an hour or eat dinner or something. Thanks for tuning in. As always, glad to see you. It'll be kind of the adult hour at 8 o'clock, where there's really no taboo subjects, and I'll beat my head against the wall again and see how I can embarrass myself. Good night, peace. See ya. I would not want to be ya. Be back tomorrow at 4. I'm pretty sure.